on the weather prediction. If the weather prediction is correct and we are not here Monday and Tuesday, that means you cannot do test corrections on Monday and Tuesday. I already have a doctor's appointment for physical therapy Wednesday afternoon. I'm not moving it. Now, if by some chance we're not here and it's moved, we won't be here anyway, so it's a moot point. I already have an appointment Thursday afternoon. I cannot reschedule. So, regardless, we cannot do test corrections Wednesday and Thursday if we're here. So, we'll just bump it into the following week. Now, that is the week of Christmas, okay? And sometimes people are like, oh, we get out on Friday, Miss Ball. I'm not coming that week. It's your option. I realize it is the week we get out for Christmas break. And everybody's like, oh, Christmas is that week. I ain't doing nothing. Okay. Now, that Monday and Tuesday are the 2 days that I will set aside for you to do test corrections. Remember, I said 4 days. 2 have passed. I had multiple people come yesterday, so I've given you 2 days. I'll update those during the second period. So if you would like 2 days to do test corrections, we're going to do the Monday and Tuesday if the storm does get here after next week. Now, if the storm is not here and it just rains, then we still have Monday and Tuesday of next week. But if the storm gets here as they've predicted, I sincerely doubt we will be here Monday and Tuesday of next week. Because if it does come as they're predicting currently, we're looking at possibly a foot of snow sometime between Saturday night and sometime Monday with ice on top. Okay? I know, which is why I'm saying I have serious doubts about us being here Monday and Tuesday. Okay? I don't control the weather people. Okay? I'm just telling you what the weather people are telling you. If you don't believe me, check out the Weather Channel on your own time, not at this moment in time. All right, so for those of us who did our homework, the answers. Number 1, B and C we did yesterday in class. So we're on 2C. So 2C should have an answer of somewhere in the ballpark of 3.9 times 10 to the 22nd molecules. 3C, 2.6 times 10 to the negative 21st grams.
So you can't have an exponent on grams?
Yeah.
Wait, what was the exponent? Because I got that, but I just did it right there.
Negative 21. Four C would be 0.89 liters. 5C, 5.5 times 10 to the negative third. Or if you didn't, because some of you probably didn't put this in scientific notation, decimal 0055. All right, 6C, 0.042 grams. 7C should be somewhere around 0.011 liters. 12C, somewhere around 77 atmospheres. 13C, somewhere around 3.8 liters. 14C, 0.037 moles. And 15C, 0.36 grams. Questions?
7C.
15C and 7C. All right. 7C says find the volume. Boy. All right. I'll put the pen in my pocket. All right. So 7C, you have grams and you want volume. All right. So PV equals nRT. 7C has STP, which makes it nice. So we know we have 1 ATM, we have 273 K, we have 0.0821. So we know those three. We have a mass of 0.0170 grams, which we need to change to moles. And it's of H2S. H2S has a mass of 1 times 32. You get 2, 32. mass of 34. So we'll put 34 there. So 0.0170. Turn it on, dummy. Divide 34. 5 times 10 to the negative fourth. All right, plugging in, PV equals nRT. Pressure's 1, volume we don't know. Moles are 5 times 10 to the negative fourth times 0.0821 times 273. Volume equals, because you're dividing by 1, times 0.0112 liters. Did you find your mistake?
Yeah.
Okay. And 15C. All right. Doing something very similar, except this one we're finding mass. And this one is not at STP, so we're going to have to make some changes. So we have 625 millimeters of mercury. We have a temperature of negative 53. We know R is 0.0821. And we've got a volume of 125 milliliters. All right, we know that'll be 0.125 liters. And 625 divided by 760 is 0.822. And negative 53 plus 273 is 220. All right, PV equals nRT. So pressure is 0.822. Volume is 0.125. We don't know N, 0.0821, and 220. Divide by 0.0821 and 220. 0.0821, 220, and equals yeah, 0.0056. Okay, now that's moles. So take your moles and now change it to grams. Moles gets a 1. And what compound did they give us in C? SO2. So S has a 1, O has a 2, times 32 times 16. You get 32, you get 32, you get 64. Put 64 there. And you get 0.364. Anybody else? Question on homework? Yes? No? Feel okay about it? No, Devontae? Okay. Anybody else? Fabulous. All right, let's talk about 2 new formulas. Because we're going to do that. We'll practice for maybe about 15 minutes, and then we're going to move on to volume ratios. Because tomorrow we need to make sure we finish the new stuff so that when you go home tomorrow, you have A, practice for the new stuff, and practice for the test. Because your review for the test may have to happen while you're home for the snow. Just being honest. The test is supposed to be Tuesday. Review is supposed to be Monday. Your review may have to happen while you're home for the snow. And then I'll give you a day to ask questions / will I teach new material. But the time to be able to practice with me in class might be absorbed into the snowstorm.
Okay, the real question is like, they have to show on Christmas.
It's only
Well,
once on Christmas.
Right.
It
It's a long
takes
time.
So you tell me it's snow in April, but it's not snow on Christmas.
Right, it snowed in the middle of spring.
I don't know why it doesn't snow on Christmas, people. Tell your parents to move you someplace where it snows on Christmas.
I want to go to Colorado.
I don't know.
It snows all the time in Colorado.
I know once, I don't know, probably 5 years ago now, I went to my mom's and actually snowed on Christmas. I was amazed.
I don't know. I don't want to live somewhere where it snows a lot. Then they know how to deal with it, and life just goes on.
Well, that's true, but I don't know, probably 3 weeks ago now. You remember when they had the big snowstorm in the north and it shut down the north? Do you know those people didn't prepare and children got stuck in schools in New Jersey and they had to spend the night? Can you imagine that? Can you imagine being trapped here with us? Can you imagine being with my 4th period class trapped here?
Oh, that's you. You're gonna be.
I would be.
I me too. You'd see me walking up the highway. Fired. Like in New Jersey and New York. They were trapped. They fed them dinner. They stayed overnight. They just spent the night in school. They had to eat lunch and dinner. But imagine that. In the South, we roll up the curves 3 days before the storms get here. No milk, no bread to be found, you know? And they were trapped in their school until they could get them home because of the snow. Have no fear. That would never happen here. All right. So moving on. 2 formulas that come from the ideal gas law are molar mass and density. These formulas are not on your reference table. You have to learn them. Unfortunately, some of you will not heed my advice. It will be a lot like PA was yesterday on the quiz. Half of you did not listen to me. What did I tell you was not on the reference sheet? PA. And half of you could not convert PA into atmospheres and did it wrong and lost your points on the quiz yesterday. Now, so when I ask you to find molar mass on the quiz tomorrow, and you write the formula wrong, you lose 10 points out of your 20. So for those of you, and I'm going to point this out, because several of you did this, not half the class, but let's just say 4. The formula for Boyle's law was P1V1 equals P2V2. But about 4 of you changed the formula into this. Okay? About 4 of you did.
Yeah.
Okay? Any of y'all recognize yourself? You don't have to say yes. But a few of you did that out there. Now, as soon as you change your formula, this is what happens. Okay, it was good that you fixed it. So if you don't know the formula, minus 10. So let's say we're on the test next week and it's a 7 or a 6-point question. You lose half. If you use this formula repeatedly, because lots of questions can use this formula, and some of you after today are going to be like, I like this one this fall. It's cool. You may use it a lot. But if you use the formula and you learn it wrong, and you perpetuate that mistake through the test, it just racks up those points. You've got to learn the formula. You can create a mnemonic device. I don't care how you do it. You can just memorize it. But you have to learn the formula. Now, some of the questions will say, what is the molar mass of the gas? You have to use this formula if it says, what is the molar mass? You can't calculate it with another formula. Okay? So, the only 2 new variables in this equation are, we can use this, are big M and little m. All of the other 4 variables we did yesterday. Now, R still dictates everything about the formula. R is the ideal gas constant. So, what did we learn yesterday? It is. Okay, we know the number. I need the rest of it. Yeah, you got it. Okay, hold on. If tomorrow on the quiz I say, what is the ideal gas constant, and I want the full thing, you got to be able to tell me the unit.
Pressure has to be in atmospheres. Volume has to be in liters, and temperature has to be in Kelvin.
Do we have to write it?
Or
Can we just write it?
We have to write it out like that.
Yes, you would have to be able to write that.
Wait, no, can we not just write volume is liters, pressure is, it has to be written like that?
That's a lot of work.
Oh, my.
You
I'm
can
gonna
hold
do this.
Okay. Where have I taught you? You can find it.
The blue. That's on the reference sheet. I'm getting mixed up what's on it and what's not. And that's what look at.
If you don't know, what should you always do? Check. Okay? Check it to see if it's there. The constant is there. The units are there. Okay? Look to see if it's there. Now, those units dictate what you can use in the formula. So like we were saying yesterday, the quiz I just handed back, if you use this formula on the test next week, do your volumes have to be in liters? Why not? Why, Diamond? It doesn't have an R in it. Very good, Devontae. Do the temperatures have to be in kelvins?
Yes.
Why? That's right. They always have to. Just checking to make sure y'all still remember that. All right. So what is big M and little m? Since those are the only two new variables we need to talk about.
One's molar mass and one's mass.
Okay. Which one's which?
Molar mass.
Okay. This is molar mass. This one is mass. All right. Now, what's the difference?
One's molar.
One's big, one's little.
Okay.
One's
Woo! We need a little more than that.
in moles.
Nope. At least that sounds better than one's big and one's little.
Did we do something with that before?
We did. We did. That's sort of what I'm hoping you can tell me
It
about.
had all those different names for the same thing.
It did have all those different names. It was the same thing.
Molecules, formula. We're talking about that.
Yeah, we went with that.
Is it the whole like?
Is it AMU?
It is AMU. That's its unit.
Molar mass is AMU. And then
Uh-huh. So where do we find it?
The chart.
What chart?
The blue one.
You don't you
No,
have
we
to
did
find it
something where we
yourself?
multiplied.
But don't you have to find it yourself?
Where do we find it at?
We did
Why don't we make that teacher?
we did times divided by 100.
No.
That's a lot.
No divide by 100.
That's
That teacher.
That was percent composition.
The T-chart to the grams to moles.
That was just finding moles.
So molar mass.
We did. We did it before we did the divide by 100. We used it when we did the T-chart. Y'all are just doing other stuff with it.
I'm confused. The periodic table.
I said that.
That's the mass.
Oh, that's just what you love to know.
That's not right. Now what?
She's right. Lolly was right. It's just the mass on the periodic table. So what I wanted Caroline to say when she was going, it was times, was when she was doing like, and you were going with the T-chart and the dividing by 100, all right, is all I wanted you to say was it was the mass that you get off the periodic table. So if you have something like, let's just say we had Na2SO4, and I picked something that would have some times,
I was completely wrong.
is you were going to add up the elements and say how many NAs are there,
There's 2.
how many S's,
1.
how many O's,
4.
and then when she was doing that times, that's what I thought she was trying to tell me in her head. And she was doing times, yeah. But you stop there. You don't do the dividing by 100 or putting it in the T-chart or any of that. Okay.
I was talking about percent.
Yeah, no percent. You want to stop when you just get the mass. Okay? So when you do the 23, the 32, the 16, 46, 32, 64, 142. That is the molar mass. Okay? Now, the units are AMU. So, your units can be AMU, U, or grams over mole. Now, what's just mass then? What's mass?
Of one of the elements.
Mm-mm.
The mass that's like
Whatever.
Whatever it says in the problem.
Okay, but what would it have been for us this semester?
What is that supposed to be?
Where would you have found mass this semester? What would we have done to find the mass?
No.
Yes. Okay. The mass would be like on the scale.
Okay, but are we supposed to?
I know. I'm just trying to make you understand what we would have done to get the mass. They will have to give you that in the problem. You can't find it on the periodic table or anything. Okay. But we would have found the mass by putting it on the scale. Molar mass you find on the periodic table. So mass has to be given in the question. You can't find that on the periodic table. Molar mass can be found on the periodic table. So this will be given to you in grams. Okay? Do you see the difference between the two? Big M is on the periodic table. Little m is a mass that's found in grams. So when you did the chalk lab and you weighed your chalk, that was a little m, a mass. When you calculated calcium carbonate using the periodic table, that was a big M. You see the difference? Okay. No.
I see it, but we already knew this, just we didn't know what you were asking.
Okay.
Okay,
So-
so the little m is the chalk and the big M is what?
The calcium carbonate, the formula that you added up off the periodic table. You with me? Okay. What? Okay. Now, the second formula is this one.
That's it?
Yeah. They're not hard. These are largely, I know you don't like the phrase plug and chug, but that's it. I'm sorry. But they're just plug and chug. Once you know the parts, it's not hard. It's plug and chug. Y'all got them backwards. I'm so sorry. All right, so this is really the only new one here. Now, D stands for density. Now, the only thing that makes this different from what we did at the beginning of the semester is this unit is grams over liters. Okay, back when we did this at the beginning of the year, it was grams over milliliters. Okay, but because we're using R, the volume is grams over liters. Now, this has an M in it. Okay, and this M, I'm going to point out, is big M.
It's a molar mass.
That's right. So it's a molar mass. It is not a small m. It is not a grams. It's a molar mass. Okay? Everything else is the same. It has R, so you know your pressure has to be in what? Atmospheres, and your temperature has to be in kelvins. Now, I would only use this formula if they either asked me to find density or they gave me a density. I would not use this formula at all unless they gave it to me or asked me for it. Everybody got that?
Yeah.
Okay. What? I would only use this formula if they gave me density or asked me for density. Otherwise, it's not very useful.
But is any of this useful?
No, I'm just talking about for the purposes of this topic. Most of this course is not useful.
So,
We've already been through this. All right, so if this question is on the test and it asks you for what is molar mass, this question would say to you, I need to use what formula? The first one, because the question is asking you to find what? The molar mass. Okay? Does that make sense to everybody?
yeah.
All right. You want to write it down or no?
Yeah.
All right. And I'll wait on you.
So question,
Yes.
the test on this,
Yes.
is this a good test?
These tests are usually divided into two categories: exceptional and god awful. There is not usually a middle ground. Or if there is, there's like one, maybe two papers that are in the middle. Last year when I gave them, they were usually 80 and above and 30 and below. There might have been, yeah, as in you don't know anything and can't work the problems. And you know it very well, and you did exceptionally well.
That's like I read.
There's not a lot of middle ground in here on this topic.
And what's the test like?
There's 10 multiple choice, there's 20 points of multiple choice, and then 11 are fruit swaps. What?
I feel like I don't know this at all. When we started learning, I feel like I can do it separately, just put it together.
Then I hesitate to say that you will be in the top echelon of the test scores. The test will be shortly after we return from the snow.
What would that be?
I will be done teaching this topic tomorrow.
Like one day we're back.
We will review when we come back, and I'll give you an opportunity to ask questions. Because when you leave tomorrow, I'm sending you with practice from tomorrow and the test review sheet. I'm sending you on your way to practice.
I don't trust myself bad.
Maybe we don't have snow.
Then we'll finish up Monday and test Tuesday. If the weather holds, then we're finishing Monday and testing Tuesday.
Why is it so
I
bad?
don't want snow either. We got enough issues.
Why is it so bad?
Huh?
Why is it so bad?
Why is what so fast?
Like, it goes.
We just do.
Because we're disciplined. Do you like?
It wouldn't matter if we weren't. We'd still be going this fast.
Do you like leave a lot of time for review or something? Like, is that the point? Or
We won't have any time for review, and I still won't finish the curriculum. All right, so here's our, what do we know?
I don't know.
I'm confused.
What's that? The
No,
math.
Big M, little m, RT over PV. What do we know, Devontae? What do we know?
T is 273.
T is 273,
One atmosphere.
and we know one atmosphere. We know that because it said what right there?
Standard.
STP. You with me on that, Elmaja? Okay,
So that's on R.
so what else do we know?
Wait, R, I just got one question real quick. So the MMRT is over PV?
Uh-huh. Yeah, the formula is big M equals little m RT over PV.
I did not see the PV at first. I don't know why I ain't writing.
658.
658 milliliters goes where? Volume.
But it's points. So I think-
I'm going to change that, yes, in just a second. Remind me and I'll do that in a moment. I'm just trying to identify first for those people who are struggling. Okay, are you with me on milliliters as a volume?
Yes, R is
Okay.
.0821.
R is 0.0821. All right, what else do we know?
35 points.
Little m is
That's right, grams is automatically a what? It's a mass. Now, this is one reason that all semester long, I've been pushing you to know the units. So that when you see a gram in a word problem, you know a gram is a what? You know a gram is a mass. You know a milliliters is a what? Is a volume. Now, you need to check to make sure everything's in the proper unit. And somebody, I don't know which voice it was I heard, said milliliters cannot be here. Milliliters has to be a what? Has to be a liter. Okay? We're using R. Milliliters is liters. So we've got to change that. Do you remember how?
You divide it by 1,000.
Divided by 1,000. Now, you can either do it in your head, which a lot of people are doing at this point, or you can draw the King Henry if that's the way you want to do it. Doesn't matter to me. Okay? At this point, I don't need to see it because if it's wrong, it's a standard deduction. It's -3 on the test if it's wrong. So you're going to get 0.658.
Question.
Yep.
So, our little m, 35.69. And that's staying in grams.
Yes. Okay. The only time it goes to moles is when you have what letter?
N.
N. And that's the thing people get confused. M and N. If it's N, it's moles. If it's M, it's grams.
So there's no N in this problem.
There's no N in this problem, so there's no moles. That is correct. The R is the ideal gas constant.
So that's just the number.
That's a set number. It never changes. That is correct. Okay? So M is 35.69. R is 0.0821. Temperature is 273. P is 1. And volume is 0.658.
Hold on.
That was the plug.
Oh.
Couldn't resist. Okay, so I took the numbers y'all identified here, and I put them in where they go in the formula. Okay, so now I need to do what? I got to chug it out in the calculator.
You don't have to.
No, you don't have to. So 35.69 times 0.0821 times 273 divide 0.658. And you can tell I made up these numbers when you get stupid stuff like this.
Big numbers?
Yeah, big number like that.
Wait, so what are the units for this?
U, AMU, or I like to write grams per mole just so you get used to seeing something different at this point.
How did we used to get AMU?
I ended up using the periodic table. But I didn't tell you what the compound is, so you can't.
So that was like.
I just said it's a gas.
That was like the 2 X, blah, blah, blah.
Yes.
That together.
Yes, that's correct. Everybody with me?
Not really.
Really? I lost you on this? Nobody should be lost on this. Alright. Let's say I go back to this, which we worked yesterday. Now, in a few minutes, we're going to practice for just a little bit, not long. Alright? Because I'm going to send some of it home with you for homework. Some of you will practice, some of you won't. Guys, I can't fix those of you who will not practice.
See,
Now.
I try, but I look at it and I'm like, wow, I really don't know how to do this.
Try harder. Now,
And you didn't shoot.
yesterday we worked this problem with P equals RT. Tonight, some of you might go, or in a few minutes, some of you might say, can I work this with Big M, Miss Wall? What's the answer?
Yes.
I can try.
Now we're going to make my head spin around and blow off the top of my head.
Yes, we do.
What's the question asked for? Does the Big M formula have mass?
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what you want
to do.
It's the little M.
Oh my god. I'm really good.
Okay. Let's write down the letters that are in the formula and let's see what we know. Okay? Let's just see what we know for Lolly. All right, Lolly. What letter are we solving for? If it says what is the mass?
What?
Little
Little m.
Wait, would this
Okay.
be safe to assume that, like, whenever we're supposed to find the mass, which is a little m, it's never going to
Are we
be
ready?
capital, like the first word of the sentence?
If the question does not say molar mass, it's not big M. Okay? So we're looking for the little m. If it doesn't say molar mass, it's not big M. Okay? Does that help?
Yeah.
Okay. So what else do we know from the question? Okay, what's the pressure? Temperature's what? Okay, what else?
The molar mass.
Okay. R is? That eight's a little small. And?
The molar mass.
What's the molar mass?
70.9.
All right. How did you get the molar mass? Because some people will stare at this for days and not know.
Chlorine.
All right. Chlorine is diatomic. So 35.4 times 2 is 70.8 or 71. If you want to round up. Now.
Yeah,
70.9.
Huh?
How do you get 70.9?
Whatever. It's all the same. So, from that point, you have what you need. You can solve using this formula.
Okay, which will be easier? It's the only question.
This one doesn't require you to convert from moles to grams. So it depends on which one you prefer.
Yeah, this one.
I don't care. Okay? My keys are worked in both formulas.
Does anybody else do that?
It's the beeping from down there with those people working on that road.
Well, I said, I've been working on that 5 years, I'm just that far, so.
They literally worked on that spot for forever.
Because they closed it when we were in middle school. Like,
They probably got Oh my
I
God.
swear they did that our freshman year. I swear they
All right, there are the 3 conversions we had to make. All right, so there's your temperature.
We had to convert KVA to
ATMs.
Wait, how did you do that? And then temperature, we had to do that to Kelvin. And make
Yep.
it. Okay.
It had to be in volume, it had to be in liters.
Is that
So the pressure always has to be 18,
3.5.
right? Wait,
What?
the pressure always has to be.
The pressure always has to be in ATMs, yes.
Wait, so you divided 356.8 divided by 1.
101.325. And then I changed the volume. I'm pretty sure I'm right. Or close enough anyways. I estimated, but I should be close. So now I'm going to cross multiply. So 70.8 times 3.5 times 0.3 equals M times 0.0821 times 300. So to get M by itself, I'm going to do what? I'm going to divide by 0.0821 and by 300.
Wait, how would you cross multiply that? Because there's only like, would you just put 70 over 1?
Yep.
Yeah. How do I know?
I'm gonna need to slow down.
You're literally right faster than I'm right.
Okay, it's all gone. All right, so are you okay with where I plugged in the numbers?
No.
yes, right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to cross multiply. Now, there's nothing under the 70.8. So if I quote a former student I used to have, he used to say, stick a 1 up under there, Miss Wall. Okay? So we can put a 1 up under there if it makes you happy. Okay, stick a 1 up under there. Now, you don't actually have to put a 1 under there, but the student I used to have always liked to have the 1 under there because he wanted to visualize it. Now, if it makes you happy to visualize the 1, put the 1 there. Now, from there, we're going to cross multiply. So we get 70.8 times what's down here, right?
Sure.
So 3.5 times 0.3. So they're all together now. So the 1 multiplies with what's up here. Is everybody okay with that? So we get M times 0.0821 and times 300. Are we okay with how I did that? Okay, now I need M by itself. So what's with the M that I want off the M? I'm dividing. What am I dividing by? 0.0821 and the 300. So they're going to cancel. So I got to do the same thing over here. And like I told you yesterday, when you do your algebra, will you ever have 2 numbers on top and 3 numbers on the bottom? No. If you get that, you know you did something wrong. They're going up under there. So 3.01.
Wait, so it's okay. It's 3.01.
Yeah.
You stuck a 1 up there, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just for visualization purposes. Uh-huh. If you're finding mass, the M, which is what we're solving for. I know. I told you they're going to vary some depending on what you
that weren't right.
All right, do we have it?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I'm going to give you a paper to work on, but I'm going to tell you now, you're not going to get but a couple of that. Why? Because we didn't talk about volume ratios today. Volume ratios. I'm going to tell you what numbers we're going to do.
Let's see.
Oh my God.
Nope, I'm going to tell you which ones. All right, we're doing 1 through 4.
1 through 4.
Yep.
There's only 12 problems.
I know. I'm just trying to make sure I've got something from everything. Nine, 10,
And 12.
and 12.
11 and 12.
Okay,
I
so
was gonna say.
now,
Do it.
I'm only giving you about 5 minutes. I'm going to stop you. The rest of it becomes homework. We're learning another topic. I've got another paper too. What? Hang on.
So like this one is.
Why are you like?
That's the emergency because that's the next
No one knows.
Number.
Lil Wayne.
See, y'all were your slow starters. Y'all even get going when I give you time to work.
I'm just snapping in my face.
You were just what?
I don't know, I should be fine.
You know you're weak inside.
How's that, man? She's not working.
Oh my god.
Wait,
stop.
okay. Seriously, stop all.
I'm cold.
Carmen?
Look, I get that I'm a little fluffy, but
After
it's
that,
not.
all of his Weenie.
I said that you did.
First of all.
I can call myself fluffy.
Wow. You're just.
That's a weird word.
Not good.
Moist.
Hey, what was the other word?
You can eat anything.
You know, little square things.
Got a question?
It's grams over milliliters?
Yeah.
What
Grams or loose?
What
What is STP?
Sounds disgusting.
Okay, so let's
Man.
dive before. Let's talk.
Hold on. Wait.
What's R?
Is that the 0?
821. And what's your roll nine? You got a CO. You got to add up CO. Huh? Yes. Yes. You didn't CO2. Angry. You did CO2, not CO. CO2 says 1C10.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It's okay.
Yes.
Who did 14 plus 14 on my calculator?
You got it.
Hey, that's what people leave my elbow.
It was probably
Really?
Hey, I don't even know, so you see. I'd be doubting
14 plus
myself.
14?
I give
Oh.
I'd be doubting myself.
I think my calculator.
Write down the very message you're on.
My button is
What's your phone?
not being pushed. Your
Yes, but everything except that.
What was the unit for molar mass other than A and
Your
B?
formula is not grams.
Grams
It's just CO.
What's this?
Oh, CO.
Oh.
That's why.
I will write it in the one I'm not comfortable with.
Is carbon 12?
Carbon is 12.
Are some of these like problems we've already learned, or are they specific material today?
No, some of them will be yesterday's. Yesterday and these two were all mixed up. Your quiz tomorrow is on this sheet. Being able to do these things. All right. What is STP? All right. So what's standard temperature?
Waste. Gram.
What's standard pressure?
Like, there's no
What's
Miss Wall, what unit is the molar mass?
Grams over moles, U or AMU? Where's your blue sheet?
Like, it was. Okay, so you just add 12. I feel.
See right here where it says gas constant. Where you on the top. You forget it. Right, so you got 3 of the 4, right? Now CO, just like we've always said, CO will get us mass. Okay? CO on the periodic table, O on the periodic table will get us mass. Don't see. Yeah, both those numbers in.
Can you, what do you
No. Yes, sorry, I couldn't see it upside down. Yes, that is. Yeah, you've got R, you've still got to convert to all the right units. Nothing's changed, so you've got, that's got to be in liters, so you've got to change that. Yeah, all the same rules still apply. Grab over liters.
Oh, this is why I'm so like slow.
Right.
You gotta cross my line. You have to cross my line.
Where?
What do you, not really know?
No, you don't, you just multiply and divide. This times this divided by those two. Yes. I don't know how y'all passed math class.
I didn't.
I believe it.
Is this?
That I believe it.
This
All math. Density. Gram per liter.
wall is MMHG.
MMHG what?
So 101.3. Remember that? Yeah, I remember we used to have.
Eventually, I just gave her a grant and she don't like it.
So now-
Did you know that Aflac is,
I don't know what that is.
Like, the name outside stands or something. I didn't know that. You knew this and you didn't tell me.
I don't know the letter stand for, but I didn't figure they just made up the word ass like.
I mean, Geico.
Yeah,
1.7. I mean, okay, yeah, I guess like.
I was surprised Geico. I mean,
I was just not aware and very surprised.
Actually, it's not.
Yes, 15% or more on cards.
You sure? I'll be calling you.
That is the only thing. My last line of
Oh my God.
I'm gonna be cards like.
It's not
When I grow up. That's what I'm gonna do after.
You know our song?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm saying, why would you?
Okay, we're not on this conversation.
It's a show.
But maybe he did like here. I'm sorry.
stuff.
I don't care.
Molar mass. Buy molar mass. Use molar mass formula.
Yeah. Bundle of mass.
Okay.
I don't like those freaking.
It's very intense. It's annoying. Like, it's intelligent. I don't like it. I couldn't do that. What about you?
Yeah. So you know, little red and make them sound.
What is? Oh, she had a race car. Oh, actually, she's your. What is R? Oh, okay.
I just need to think, I need to.
I feel like you won't shoot me.
There's another one in the up on the areas.
That trust me.
I think so.
I feel like you won't.
I've been there.
Dude, if I really hated someone, I could befriend them and then we could just do that and instead I could just be like, oh.
Are those your children?
Yeah, they're outdated though by about 4 years. I think those are, I want to say Ian's in 5th grade there. That's probably 3 years old. He's in 5th grade and she's in 6th or 7th. She's a junior now. So they need to replace.
You told me
I never know.
Yeah.
I've been here for 6 semesters, I didn't.
Yeah.
Wow, you're just mad.
Hey.
I would imagine.
I'm pretty sure 1, 2, 3 are right. I'm pretty sure 4's wrong. I forgot Birmingham stuff.
Oh my God, I always do that.
All they have
Except the last one, they'll copy later.
Oh, it is.
I'll go down.
Alright. What?
Wait.
That's shocking.
Can you check this over tomorrow?
I did like that.
You can use that one, but given they gave you the question, moles, I would use the, what formula has moles in it?
Well, I'm the ugly.
Given they gave you moles right here, I would pick PV equals MR6, because they gave you the number of moles. That's how I would select my question.
Wait, is this better?
Yes. Guys, when you're working these, since Denasia and Devontae and I are talking about question 3, when you look at question 3, what do they give you for a number in question 3? They give you moles. Because they give you moles, what formula did we learn yesterday that has moles in it? I would pick the PV equals NRT formula instead of the one we learned today, You can use the formula we learned today, but what do you have to do with the moles to use what we did today? You got to convert it into grams, okay? Which is more work to change it into that formula. But if you use PV equals nRT, you just plug it into the formula we learned yesterday, and then you can calculate. The N is the moles part. So you just plug it into the moles and you're ready to go. But if you want to change it into big M, you got to calculate it into grams, and then you got to find nitrogen's mass to be able to calculate it. You don't have to do any of that if you use PV equals nRT.
I think right on the.
No, PV.
I think right on the. Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you will, find a stopping place. We're going to start volume ratios.
I have a question.
Volume ratios.
I have a question for you, Chris.
Yes.
Number 3, I know it's asking.
That's what we're talking about. Since it gave you moles, you cannot put that in there. Use PV equals nRT because this is moles. That's grams. If you wanted to use that one, you would have to change that from moles to grams to use the formula you're using.
Yeah, that's what I'm asking. If I do that.
Yes, you can do that. And then you'd have to find the mass of nitrogen to go there. You can do that. That process just requires more steps. Where?
What's the,
You did because oxygen's not on the
If you can hear this one right here, I'm pretty sure you can hear from
Did
that.
you, I hear EMG over.
Are you serious?
Being just sitting back there.
Molar has APV.
Oh, I mean,
Okay, what's your number 2?
I didn't hear what.
70.
Yes.
It's only Did I do that one right after I changed it, and then this one?
Did you get around 2.2 on 4?
Yes. And what about mine? Wait, that's the point, that's the no time.
I remember the
Okay.
Yes. All right.
Lost my pen.
Wait.
Nope, not waiting anymore. I've talked and checked all I'm checking. All right. If you will, find your notes. For the last 15 minutes, we're talking about volume ratios. Exactly.
No.
This works exactly like mole ratios. You're not going to have a heart attack. Well, now, this works exactly like mole ratios. Now, if you remember back to when we were working with balanced equations, if we had hydrogen, I'm going to write the states in since we're talking about gases. I'm going to include their states. So they're all gases. Back in the day, about 5 weeks ago now, I know. It's been it's been a minute since we did this. Some of you might have forgotten how to balance. Some of you might have even forgotten that the coefficients tell us the moles. So we know that there's a coefficient of 1 here. So that tells us there's 1 mole of hydrogen and there's 1 mole of chlorine and there's 2 moles of HCl, right?
This is that.
Yes.
Mole ratios. Okay? Now, I didn't spend any time talking about the molecule piece because I don't think you'll see it on the exam. So I didn't spend any time with it. But you can also say that 1 molecule of hydrogen reacts with 1 molecule of chlorine to produce 2 molecules of HCl.
But how are they the same thing if they're 2 different units? Mole and molecule.
Because they're related by their coefficients. Okay? Now, here's where we're going with it today. You're in a first-year class. As long as you have the conditions at the same temperature and pressure. Now, You're in a first year class. Are the temperature and pressure going to change?
No.
So you can always assume what about temperature and pressure? They're the same. Okay? 1 volume of hydrogen reacts with 1 volume of chlorine to produce 2 volumes of HCl. Now, what do I mean by volumes? I literally mean any volume unit you can think of. So what's a volume unit we could plug in for hydrogen? Sure. I heard liters and I heard milliliters, so we'll use both. All right. So I could change this to 1 milliliter of hydrogen, to 1 milliliter of chlorine, to 2 milliliters of HCl. Or I could do the liter that Chris yelled and say 1 milliliter of hydrogen, to 1 milliliter of chlorine, to 2 milliliters of HCl. Now, it works just like the mole to mole. I know it looks bizarre the way I've written it up there, but we're going to treat this just like a mole to mole ratio.
You wrote it down. That's what it's saying.
Oh, excuse me. Let me get rid of the M. Let me get rid of that. L, L, L. There we go. I meant to put L's. Does that look better?
Yes.
Okay.
Sit down and call it a day.
I probably should.
But you're not.
No. I'll rest and not just about it.
Question, if you pass out in class.
Yeah, what do you want to hear? What?
I don't know. Maybe let me lay there for a little while.
Just don't fall on your wrist.
You know, my sister sent me a text last night. She gave me a hard time about falling and breaking my wrist and really made fun of me. Guess who fell in a parking lot yesterday? Guess who's in a boot with a badly sprained, possibly broken ankle?
You don't want to say.
I said, you know, karma's a bee. Comes around every now and then, doesn't it? She said, shut up. All right.
Oh.
I'll let you write that down, and then we're going to talk about how to do
Oh no, that was his karma.
I thought you said get wrecked.
it. Yeah, in a wreck.
No, it's not. That's the
Same.
same.
I mean,
Get
it
wrecked.
works.
I really know. It's not work both ways. You
Why are you kicking a soccer ball that close to a tree? No.
I missed the whole ball in gym and almost flipped.
I just thought about like a cartoon.
Right.
What'd you say? Oh, yeah, Charlie Brown. Oh. I tried to kick it so hard, too. Boy, missed the whole thing. You said that, Mickey.
I bet you're waking up. Nobody knows.
This will, this one I post tomorrow.
No, the quiz tomorrow is only on the stuff that's on that worksheet.
Wait, so this is on the test?
This is on the test.
Oh, God.
Oh yeah, all this stuff's on the test. All right. So we had a chance to write.
No.
Yes.
So for those of us who are still writing, and those of us who are done writing, tell me how this looks different from what we've been working on. What things obviously stand out?
Everything.
Combustion.
Combustion.
All right, so it says combustion. All right, that's one of the keys that should stand out to you. So this should tell you that we're talking about a reaction. You're going to need to write a reaction. Okay, what else stands out? Okay, assuming what? Okay, so did it give you a temperature and pressure?
No.
No. Okay, so there is no temperature and pressure. So if there's no temperature and pressure, what can't we use? That's right. That means there's no formula. Okay? You can't plug into a formula if you don't have a temperature and a pressure. So that means PV equals nRT is out, big M is out, V1 over T1 or the combined gas law, all of those are out. You don't know the temperature and pressure. Can you just say, oh, Miss Wall meant STP, she just forgot to write it in the question?
Yes. Forget.
No, you cannot assume that. Okay? People do on the test, oh, it's okay, just stick it in there. I'm going to probably take it with me today with the warranty and take it back.
Maybe spend another $10.
Spend another $10 on the warranty. Okay? Now, so, but if you don't have any temperature or pressures, you can't plug it in the formula. So, we have no formula, and we need to write an equation. So, the only thing we have left for us is a T-chart. Okay? Plain old simple T-chart. Instead of a mole-mole ratio, we're going to use a volume-volume ratio. Okay? It's that simple. So, write a formula, an equation. Combustion. What do we know about combustion? Tell me what we remember about combustion. C3H8 plus oxygen. What do we always produce?
Water.
Now, for those of you who are going, I don't remember any of this. Where do we find it? On the reference table. It's number 5. So you can look it up. All right, how many C's?
3.
So we're going to put 3. How many H's? So we're going to put a 4. So that made, how many O's? 6 plus 4 is 10. So we're going to put a voila. Okay? Now, all we have if we can't use a formula is a T-chart. So we're going to draw a T-chart.
What do you mean can't use a formula?
We cannot use PV equals nRT. We cannot use big M. Cannot use the combined gas law. We can't plug and chug is it word. I know, I only did it for Lolly. So, what number do we have to put in our T-chart?
0.
So we're putting 0.350 liters of what?
Liters of combustion.
Liters of propane. It's okay. I wasn't going to point that out to you. All right. So what has to go on the bottom? Okay. So when we did mole-mole ratios, we used them to change compounds, right? We're doing the same thing. We're changing the compound. So instead of doing mole-mole, we're doing liter-liter or volume-volume. So we're going to put liters to liters. Instead of mole-mole, we're doing volume-volume.
I thought we were doing
We're changing from one compound to another.
Okay, but I'm saying like
We're just going from one thing to another.
wait, and what was the thing where we had like 3 liters of CO2 over 4 liters of H2O?
That's what we're going to. This is called the volume-volume ratio. We're going to change the compound. Okay? So, what compound are they asking us to change to? They're asking for oxygen. So, in the volume-volume ratio, we're putting oxygen right there because they said oxygen. Okay? So, in the mole-mole ratio, we use coefficients, right? So, in the volume-volume ratio, we're going to use the coefficients. So, we look right here and we say oxygen had a 5, propane had a 1. And we do what with it? We multiply and divide. Can somebody be ever so kind and tell me what that says? Thank you. Now, we will do more of that tomorrow. We will add to it tomorrow. Yes, we will. What's your homework?